Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. Please join us over at rivianstories.com for all the latest Rivian news. Maybe pick up yourself a t-shirt while you're there. Thanks. The lead story is that Rivian's going to be producing their next audio system in-house. But the reason we've started with Meridian Audio is because at one point we were so excited to interview sound engineers, their US salesperson. I had actually talked with them. We had a bunch of questions lined up. Our audience and the RS family was super excited about it too. And then all of a sudden, I don't know how else to say it besides that we completely lost the scent. And even more than that, like they just fell off and kind of said, we can't do the interview, but wouldn't give us an explanation. And we're like, what the heck? Like everything was going so awesome. Everyone was excited, them, us, and the community. So I guess what I'm saying is maybe us three, we've known for a long time that something weird happened. And now with this announcement, we suspect that Rivian has known this for a long time and that Meridian found that out about that time. I should go back and see when that was and maybe we could say that that was the date. But bottom line is that Rivian's going to be doing their own thing. Jimmy, you said that you were looking at this last week and Rivian was down here and it's no longer on here, right? So as of recently?
Yeah. Right after the news broke, or rather, I won't even say news broke. Right after somebody found it in support, because Rivian unfortunately didn't communicate it other than posting it on the support page.
This thing right here, yeah.
Was that correct there? Right after this was found, this information was found on the support page, I went onto Meridian's website to see if there was anything there, any changes. And at that point, either Tuesday or Wednesday, you could still find information about the Meridian setup and Meridian's system, elevation system in the R1T and R1S. And as of today, as you can see from where we, on the tab that we were on earlier, there's no mention of Rivian whatsoever down there as being a partner with Meridian Audio.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, I had to search to see, like Google brought up a couple PDFs on Meridian's site so that where we could see the old specs compared to the limited info that we have about the new, but that's about it. Maybe Meridian would come on now and talk to us, give us the story. Skylar, you haven't said anything yet, but I mean, do you agree that something happened a long time ago? Something fell out for some reason, and
absolutely. And I told you that at the time, right? And
yeah, you did because I was talking to you, asking like, "What did I do wrong, Skylar?" And you're like, something weird's going on."
Yeah. So we knew that something happened because it went from they were fired up, we were fired up to nope, sorry, we can't do it. And I said, well, let us know who we need to talk to at Rivian to get this authorized. And yeah, they just shut us down. Meridian did.
Mm-hmm. All that we have from Rivian is that the in-house design Rivian Elevation Audio allows the R1T and S to use a common 1200 watt 18-channel amplifier. If we look back at what the Meridian system was, it's interesting that it was 1200 watts in the T, but then only 1100 watts in the S. Still can't quite figure that out. In the T, there was 19 speakers. In the S, there was 22 speakers. And you can kind of see where they are if you're watching this one, where those are located. So similar spec as far as the amplifier, probably going to be similar then as far as speakers. And here's what we know on both models. We've removed the rear passenger door mid-range speakers, shifting this work across to tweeter and a woofer for seamless frequency transitions. So really the back has gone from like a three-way speaker to a two-way as far as crossovers and all that kind of stuff. So the new Elevation Audio system is lighter, more efficient, and uses less rare earth metals. Our testing has shown that listeners prefer the Rivian Elevation audio experience, and this update allows us to more easily tune our audio system based on owner feedback moving forward. Production of vehicles with the audio system began in February. So this is already going. Thoughts and kind of insights to that.
Let's share some additional kind of inside information that we were given about the Meridian system, and it's that Rivian audio engineers retuned the Meridian system because they were not thrilled with what they got from Meridian. It makes me wonder what other potential issues there were, but we may never know. I'm excited to hear this one, and to me, the proof is in the pudding. The other thing that I think is interesting about this is, Rivian didn't say anything yet. Vehicles began shipping with the new system in February. And I really want to jump from one vehicle to another, listening to the same songs, and really get a feel for the difference in sound.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people in the community that have been curious about this. And I think from a customer who hasn't taken delivery, I would be slightly frustrated with the lack of communication as far as going from a nameplate to no nameplate. But I do think from being integrated within Rivian, honestly, only losing two speakers, which yes, you're losing, and I don't want to take anything away from that. But even though you're only losing two speakers, it's still 1,200 watts. And there's going to be some more efficiencies that should come out of it because it is lighter weight. I see it as a good thing. I just wish, again, that Rivian was more upfront with the change, because there are some people that were really looking forward to Meridian, especially those who may have come over from Land Rover, who are familiar with Meridian audio and were expecting to pay a premium for a Meridian nameplate, and they're now going from a Meridian nameplate to no nameplate.
Yeah, and Jimmy, you just mentioned something that I want to point out, and I will give you my take on it. So they're saying that the system is now lighter, more efficient, and less rare earth metals, excuse me. So that tells me that the magnets on the drivers are going to be smaller, which normally means less in the way of sound quality. If you can run it with less power and smaller magnets, then that is typically going to give you less sound quality. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. Now you're bringing up something that Jimmy asked. So speaking of, essentially what we're talking about now is drivers and the components in a driver. But Jimmy, at one point over the weekend, or maybe before the weekend, kind of asked you and me, Skylar, in one of our signal chats, like, what do you think about then if someone blows like a mid-range or some sort of driver in the Meridian system? Are they going to replace that with a Meridian driver? Or are they going to replace that with a new Rivian driver? And I kind of said right away, I think that they got to replace that with a Meridian driver because of how everything works together as a system. Crossovers are set for that driver, power set for that driver. Everything, the voicing is set for those drivers. So if you just insert a new driver that's totally different, is it going to work? Yeah, it'll work as in produce sound, but it's definitely not going to be voiced and EQ'd and all that like the other driver was. So I would tend to think that they're going to have enough stock on hand to replace it with the Meridian drivers, that, or they're going to... Is there any other theories there? What else would they do? Do you guys have any other ideas?
I mean, considering that Meridian's not even acknowledging that there's a partnership anymore, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense what you're saying, but if the connection has been severed, the partnership has been severed, as far as making the parts anymore? Are they going to? I mean, I'm sure a lot of that stuff might have been off the shelf from other vehicles, but I guess we won't know until one of us blows a speaker.
So I can tell you how that works in a lot of other industries where you have to guarantee the lifetime of certain pieces. Let's just say technology equipment, because that's what I'm familiar with. But when you get into a contract to source a specific component, it's always in that contract that you will be able to get that component or a exact functional equivalent for often very long periods of time. But once again, different industry, different type of gear, but it would not surprise me at all if there was a contract structure similar to that in place for the Meridian audio components.
I mean, if we want to beat this horse, Rivian still has to get better about communicating changes of configurations to their customers, period.
There is one thing that I hope for with the new Rivian elevation system, and that is a more robust subwoofer, which I think is a bigger deal in the R1S than it is in the R1T. But I'd love to see a better subwoofer, potentially more power going to the subwoofer, and also more control specifically over the subwoofer. Because in our systems,
More control from the user standpoint?
Yes. In our systems, there is zero control specifically over the subwoofer, gain control, volume level, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be interesting if the UI and all that is still similar between the two. I'd imagine that it is, but as far as just, clicking down there on the left side of the audio screen where you can get your EQ and set your balance and center stage and all that kind of stuff, I would imagine should be unchanged. But it'll be interesting. And I guess as far as just the summary statement, we definitely, us three, and I'm sure most of the folks at Rivian as well, wish Meridian all the best. I mean, great systems. I'd love to hear their home systems for sure. Love some of the stuff they're doing. And at the beginning, it was hilarious because Meridian was like out there at front and center, is like very proud of the partnership. Somewhere, somehow, we're here, and I'm sure for the better, and everything will be good, but just very interesting. All right, that's all for this one. We have more coming, so please subscribe. In the meantime, we hang out at rivianstories.com. Click on shop, find yourself a t-shirt. Thanks so much for your support.